Hey guys, Elizabeth here from Plant Based Bride, and let's talk New Year's resolutions. So in honor of a brand new year, I wanted to share with you my New Year's resolutions. So if you saw my 2017 Plan With Me video, I'll link it here. I talked about how my daily habits were going to be influenced by my New Year's resolutions once I'd finished them. And I thought you guys might be interested in hearing what my resolutions were for this year. Maybe if you haven't created yours yet and you're looking for some inspiration or just out of curiosity. I know I really enjoyed watching other people's New Year's resolution videos, so I thought it might be fun for me to share them with you guys. And I would love to hear your resolutions too, so let me know in the comments below. So let's just get started. I talked to you guys about how I came up with sort of my big 3 goals that were for January, and then I had my New Year's resolutions. So as a recap, or if you haven't seen that video, my big 3 goals for January are to get my splits back comfortably. As I said in that video, I haven't been stretching a lot for the past couple months, and while my flexibility hasn't completely disappeared, it has definitely reduced. And I'm going to be doing a contract coming up in a month. So I really need to get myself back into prime dancing shape, which means I need to get my flexibility back. So that's my first goal for January. My second goal is to get my finances in order. Since the wedding and then going right into the holiday season, my finances have just gone out the window. I haven't really been keeping track of things or handling them properly. So I want to sit down with my husband and really go through them, make a plan, and stick to it. And my last goal for January is to really hustle on my ebook that I've been working on for like a year now and get it out to you guys. The reason why it's taking so long is I'm trying to learn how to use InDesign, which is confusing. So I want the book to be beautiful, and that's the reason why it's taking so long. I've written probably 99% of the actual book, but I just want it to look nice. So that's a bit of a struggle, but again, I'm going to push myself this month to figure it out and do it and release it for you guys. So those were my 3 January goals, and let's get into my New Year's resolutions for the whole year. So I split them up into categories. Again, I talked about this in my last video if you're interested, but I had health, relationships, career, finances, recreation, and personal development as my sections. And I felt like it was important not to go overboard on the resolutions. So I wanted to keep it to 2 maximum per category. And the way I structured them was that I wrote my goal and then I wrote how I'm gonna do it, basically. So what my goal is and then the practical thing I'm going to do to achieve it, so that it's a more specific and actionable thing. So my first health goal is the same as my January goal, which is to get my splits back comfortably. I really want this to be a focus because I feel a lot better physically when I'm stretching regularly. I have less aches and pains. I feel more energetic. All of those things come from stretching regularly. So my resolution of getting my splits back again involves the daily action of stretching. So I'm going to stretch every single day. And I have a perfect space set aside for this. It's going to be in my bedtime routine, which I talked about in my Self-Care Saturday episode on sleep, which I'll link here for you guys. And I talked about how important it is to have a bedtime routine, and a great way I've found for myself to relax at the end of the night is to light a candle, turn the lights down low, and stretch for, half an hour. And that's a great way for me to keep up with my self-care and making sure that I'm sleeping properly for my mental health, and it's also a great way to keep up with my physical health. So my second health goal is to exercise. I've really fallen out of the habit of exercising, and I'm going to get back into it. And the way that I quantified this goal was to make sure to exercise at least 3 times a week. So moving on to the next category, relationships. The first goal is between myself and my husband, Jason. And my actionable thing is to have a date night every single week. So it doesn't have to be the same thing every week. We don't have to go out of the house every week, but making sure that we have, at least a couple hours put aside each week where we're just going to spend time together and do something fun and connect and really deepen our relationship. Because I feel like if you don't put that time aside, life can really run away from you and you just get too busy. And especially when you live with someone and you see them all the time, it feels like you are connecting to them because you're always around them. But if you're not really spending that time together and focusing on each other, you aren't deepening your relationship, you're just living your lives in proximity. In keeping with that goal is my second relationship goal, which is with my family, and it's to connect to each of my nuclear family members, so my dad, my mom, and my sister, every single week. So whether that's a Skype call or a phone call with them individually, or if they're in town and we get to spend time together, go for lunch or coffee, making sure that I'm really keeping those relationships strong and keeping up to date with their lives and what they're going through and being there for them. So on to career, and my first career goal is to release my ebook. As I said, that's a January goal, but it's also a year resolution to get my ebook out there, and the way that I'm going to work on doing that is to work on my ebook a little bit every single day. My next goal is to turn this thing that I've created, Plant-Based Bride, into a real business. Right now it's sort of my hobby, it's something that I love to do, and I'm reaching more and more people. Speaking of more and more people, thank you so much to all of you who have subscribed recently. I all of a sudden jumped up over 3,000 subscribers, and that's just insane. 3,000 people listening to what I have to say and agreeing with it enough to want to subscribe to my channel is really incredible. So thank you so much to all of you who have subscribed. And I really want to turn this into a business. I want to be able to help people and help the animals and help the environment, and to be able to focus on it. And the only way I can focus all of my energies on this is if it's a viable business that I can live off of, because I have a husband and kittens to help to support, and it's important that I am a responsible adult, so I can't spend all of my time doing something that's not going to support me. So that is a big 2017 resolution. It's to create a real business plan and to follow through how I can make a sustainable living from doing what I love. So the next category is finances, and again, this is in line with my January goal, which is to make a financial plan with my husband together and to hold each other accountable to sustaining this plan, to following a budget and keeping track of our spending and saving and investing and doing all of the things that are important for us to do to really start to build our lives together. The next category is recreation, so fun stuff, hobbies. And my first resolution is to keep a beautiful home. Now, for some of you, that might not really seem like something that's fun, but I take so much joy in beauty, in simplicity, and the aesthetics of a home. And I've been collecting inspiration for years now about, my dream home. And I recently realized that I don't have to wait to own a home to do that. I don't have to wait to have enough money to buy anything I want to do that. I can do that now. And so I want to make 2017 a year of making our home beautiful and calming and simple. And part of how I'm going to do that is to clean up as I go, because I feel like the barrier to making those bigger changes to the decor and how things work and look is the clutter that sits on top. If there's dishes to be done and kitty litter to clean, then it's hard to think about where should this TV table be moved to and what color should I paint these walls. So I think if I focus on really cleaning as I go, then it'll leave the space cleaner and more simple, which will help with making my home beautiful, but it will also open up time and mental space to think about how I can make things even more aesthetically pleasing. My second recreation goal is to read more fiction. I love to read, I read all of the time, but I've really fallen into the habit of only reading nonfiction, of only trying to get more information. And while I think that's important, I really miss the joy that I used to get from reading stories, from getting invested in characters. And I recently read the book The Circle, which I'll link in the description box if you're interested. I had totally forgotten that I downloaded it on my iPhone, and then I saw a trailer or a notice of The Circle being made into a film and thought, that sounds really familiar, why do I know that? And remembered that I'd wanted to read it. So I decided to read it, I loved it, I think it's a really interesting book and would recommend it to anybody. But it also reminded me how much I love to read and to connect to the characters. And so that's a big resolution for 2017, is to read more fiction. So we're on to the final category, which is personal development. And the first resolution is to sleep better. And I'm going to do that by following the things that I talked about in my second episode of Self-Care Saturday, talking about sleeping better. And the two main things that I really want to focus on are sticking to my schedule. So going to bed and waking up at the same time every single day, and really committing to my bedtime routine and giving myself that time to unwind so I can sleep better. And my final resolution for 2017 is to practice positivity. As you guys know from my Self-Care Saturday series, my first episode, which was my mental health story, I'll link it here if you haven't seen it. I am currently suffering from depression and anxiety, and I have been for a while. And I, like many people who suffer from these things, tend to fall into negativity. And this year I'm really going to try my best to stay on the positive side, even about things that don't seem to have a positive side. I'm going to try so hard for myself to see the positive. And there are lots of different ways I'm going to work on doing this, but the number one thing that I want to try to incorporate into my life is a daily gratitude log. So I showed you guys this in my 2017 Plan With Me video for my bullet journal, but I actually created a gratitude log. You can see here, and I filled out the first day, and it's just a place for me to write what I'm grateful for every single day, really basic. And it's something I've tried to do a couple times and never stuck with. So this year I'm going to stick with it every single day for the next 363 days now, or 64 since I haven't done today yet. I'm going to write what I'm grateful for, and hopefully that will help to keep my mindset on the positive side of things. So those are my 2017 New Year's resolutions. I hope you guys found this interesting. And again, I would love to hear what your resolutions are. Please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys really soon in my next video. Bye. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on social media so we can be friends, especially on Instagram. It's my favorite place to connect with you guys off of YouTube. And if you haven't checked out my blog before, head over to plantbasedbride.com. I have so many blog posts on there now about anything you can think of: veganism, fashion, beauty, lifestyle, feminism, atheism, everything. And if you feel like helping me to achieve one of my New Year's resolutions, please consider supporting me on Patreon. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, but if all 3,000 of you pledged $1 every single month, I would be able to do this as a living. I would be able to focus far more time and attention on saving animals, helping you guys, and changing the world. So consider it if you have $1 to spare. Don't forget to check out my last video, my 2017 Plan With Me, in my bullet journal, and I hope you guys are already having an amazing 2017. Bye. Oh, one last thing, I'm gonna put a poll here because I have a question for you guys. As you might have noticed, this is not a Last Week in Vegan video. I'm trying to decide if I should keep doing those every single Monday or if it should be a bi-weekly thing, so every other Monday, like what I've been doing with my Self-Care Saturday videos every other Saturday. So please let me know if you have a second, fill out that poll, and let me know if you think that those videos should be every single week or every other week. Thanks, guys.